Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's October 30th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Okay, just real quickly, I've already done this chart lesson once, got finished, and there's absolutely no sound. So it seems like every time my computer I've come in, it does an update, something goes haywire with the recording. And once again, there was an update sometime over the weekend, and I come in a recording and everything's haywire. I've learned to restart my computer after an update for whatever reason, so I restarted it. Everything looked good, but for whatever reason, no volume. So I'm going to move through these since I got to do this all over again. I just don't have the time to probably go into those details I did last time. There's not a lot of trades today, but I'm going to move through them pretty quickly. And it's unfortunate, and I apologize, but uh, this update stuff is driving me insane. There's always some kind of little bug afterwards. So um, for whatever reason, the fix today was to remove my wireless, unplug my USB wireless and plug it back in, and then it worked fine. So why I had to do that, I don't know. But anyway, it had something to do with the update. So anyway, here we are. This is our daily chart. We relieved a little bit of the oversold today. Notice this is support, was acting as support before and resistance both, mostly support. And when we shot through that, we'll normally pull back and retest it even if we're going to go lower. Now we're severely oversold, although we did relieve some of that today. So if we could push back through there and get above that and still act as support, but if it acts as resistance, we could turn and go lower. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, but we need a little more price action to know what prices are going to do. I would suspect the prices are going to try to go higher first because we've been so oversold. But it wouldn't surprise me if they fail and turn down and go lower. There's still a little overhead gap here on the regular session chart. I'll show you that when we move over to it. It needs to be filled. We didn't quite get there to fill that today. So we'll see what happens. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and take a look at that and go through the trades again real quickly and wrap this day up. And here we are. And we actually had a gap up on the chart last night and we could not fill that gap. So we got this gap lingering below, but we've got this bigger gap from, I think it's from Thursday, right here. And we've got to get up to, I think, 41.11 to fill that gap. Or 42.11, I'm sorry. We got to get up to 42.11 to fill that gap. And as you can see, the highest we went today, I think was this bar. And this 41.83. We might have got a little higher over here. Oh, that's Friday's, I'm sorry. So the high today is going to be up here. And you can see where high was 41.97.50. So we didn't quite get to 42.11. So anyway, prices may attempt to fill that gap since we're so close now. But again, we'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. Let's zoom in here. Let me show you this real quick. There was clearly two measured legs up. You include that gap down here. There's your first leg. Then you had the correction. Your second leg started from here, and I mean it's basically a perfect two legs up to the tick. And there were two legs in this first leg that were measured. There were two legs in this correction that were measured, which at first you would think, hey, maybe we're going to try to make another measured leg down, but when we couldn't get below this support level here, then it tries to go higher, and we end up making two legs up instead of two legs down. So again, not a lot of trades today, but there's enough here that you can find a trade. There were several green ones that were iffy, but you just got to be careful with those, especially right now. And But let's zoom on in here, go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. 7 o'clock came as we had this failed break out of this range. We're trending down. So 7 o'clock comes right in here. You get a close outside and a new low. That one is tempting. And it is a second entry, but we're not really looking for second entries. But that one looks a little congested across there. That doesn't really look like we're rejecting prices. So I would just wait, and then notice we get one more little push down, and you get this little bar with like 6 ticks. Maybe you take that one. It's pretty low risk, but you're better off to wait on the higher low, which comes right here. And it looks like at first that one looks like it's going to fail, but it takes on off. And if you caught this trade, you waited it out, you'd get a runner here, and you probably could ride this up significantly. And let me show you this. Generally, when you get a break here, you're looking for a retest. And I don't usually draw the trends on the retest, but this, we had a trend up, and then we folded over into another trend. And when you get one going that long, go ahead and draw it, because you may be working on the second leg up. And that happens sometimes. And that's exactly what we did. We made a perfect 2 legs up and then finally turned down. So I didn't really trade this first channel, but once we folded over into this second one, there's some trades here. And I'll explain these to you. This one comes back, you get a first entry, and you get a second entry here, and then this is a higher low. The second entry, on the second entry, we were still in the down channel. And it might have been a new high, and we could have just kept going lower. But when it confirmed that trend line right here on this higher low, I like going long there. And then we come back and we get 2 legs back right off the trend line again. Now, normally I'd say, hey, you don't have enough room to get out here probably. I didn't measure it. Let's just see how close we are. But I'm going to explain this. I mean, it's only like a point. So, but once you realize, look at all the little bars, all the dojis. Look how the corrections are mostly sideways. They're not very, that's the biggest correction, and it's not very big. Very mild corrections that mostly only go sideways, and lots of dojis and stems. That's a strong trend. So once you realize this is a strong trend, take that second entry, and then if it keeps on giving you that strong trend, every good signal bar that comes back to the trend line, take it. So that one was a good one. I marked a couple of these green, but if you realize what's going on, you can take them. And then the only reason you don't like this one is because it doesn't break higher on the next bar, and you got so many dojis there, not any room to the top. I just sit out on that one, and you can see it doesn't quite work, and you get a break and a move to a new high, and then you've reversed. And I don't think you can take this short here. You need a lower high, which you just never really get, because now we're down below the EMA, but we're just chopping sideways. Get a break outside, just a first entry, just a first entry. We correct back here. You get a trend up, close outside, move to a new high. That one's a little, this is probably should be more like this right here. You get a close outside, new high. Normally I wouldn't mark this, but today I marked it green just because it is a second entry. This is really your signal bar. And this is just an inside bar. But because it looks like there's a trend line there, you might take that trade. It's a little lifty. I marked it, but I mean, because it's a second entry, because this is played out, it looks like we're turning over. Maybe you take that trade. You get a moves on down, you just get a first entry here, first entry here, first entry here. Just not good setups. Finally you get a close outside, another first entry. And you're just chopping along here. Nothing there. It just kind of expands here. Again, nothing here. You might have looked at this as a lower high, but it's just a first entry. So again, and you've bounced off this low down, or off the bottom side of the channel multiple times. So we're overdue for a correction, so I don't think I would trade it. You're just chopping along, and finally you get a triple test here. but it did make a new high. I think it's an equal high with this other one over here. Let me just verify that. Just eyeballing it, it looks like an equal high, and it is. So it's really kind of a double top, but it's higher than these last couple. So usually you want to wait on a lower high, but it is a fairly bearish bar off the resistance area. It is right near the midline as well. We did get on the other side, but you'll see that occasionally it's still turned down. But it's a little risky because we could be headed back to the trend line. And so you might get trapped there. So I marked it green, but I'm not crazy about it. But it's a possibility. I don't think you want to go long yet. And even though you got some setups on these failed breakout here, I don't think you want to trade that. That's too congested. You do have a double bottom here, and you break out, and you get a first entry, second entry. Again, it's a little congested, but with it being a failed breakout and a second entry short with a bearish bar, as long as you got room back here, I like that trade. It ends up going much further than that, but you got to be careful with that. And then you get a close outside. You don't get a new low, but then it's rocketing up. You do get a close outside and two legs up here, and that's two measured legs up, perfect measured leg. Breaks higher and fails and turns down. I don't think I'd trade that on the engulfing bar, but I wouldn't have any problem going short right there. You don't know it's going to take off like that, but you're expecting it to give you a little trend down, at least come back to the EMA. You do get a close outside. It's kind of questionable, but move to a new low. And we actually break a little lower below this previous support again, but we still come up higher than that high. And then you get a higher low right here, but it looks too congested. And you see it, this is the worry that it breaks out and snaps back, and it wouldn't have stopped you out in this case, but a lot of times it will. And that's why you got to be careful on these breaks out of congestion like that. I just think that one's too risky. It would have worked, but not worth risking it. And then we just run on up, and we don't quite get a new high. We get a close outside here and a move to a new high, then we turn down. A higher low here, but the signal bar is no good. I'd just say that's congestion. Same thing here. It's just all congested. Same thing here. Same thing here. Except this time it breaks out the top and fails. So maybe you go short there. It makes a new high, so you're better off to wait on a lower high, which never comes. But maybe you take that if you have room back to the EMA. And of course it bounces at the EMA, runs up, makes a new high, then makes a lower high and that's a second entry short. I like entering on that one. Quite moves back down to the midline. I mean, you do get a break and a new low, but I don't see any reason to go long there. Turns back down, lower high here, but it's moved too far for it to be a tradable one. And we do bounce here, right where we've been bouncing. And this breaks lower. I think actually it makes a 2-bar matching high there is what it does. Yeah. And you might take that trade. It's a little ways away from the EMA, but I'd wait on a higher low again, which doesn't come to a way over here, and then the signal bar is no good. And you do get a reversal type here, but look how many times we tried to get through that bid line and couldn't. Unless you traded this on the engulfing bar, if you did that, you might have room. Yeah, you would have room to get out there, but I just think it's too risky. I mean, it's one that if you traded it on the engulfing, maybe you take it. Then we're just trying to chop in sideways here. You get a triple test, it breaks lower and fails and turns up. You got room to scalp out back here, even if you go long above that bar. I would prefer taking that one on the engulfing bar. I'm not as crazy about going long at the high because it's 17 ticks already, so it's pretty risky only for that when you're only expecting it to just retest these highs. But this thing takes off, so sometimes with more risk comes more reward. Doesn't mean you want to take on that risk, but you do get a bigger reward for risk sometimes, and that's one of the cases. That's a perfect example of it right there. You're only expecting it to go to here, and you see where it finds resistance, and it looks like it's going to turn down, then it rockets higher. So runs up, get a close outside, a couple little pushes. I like this one. It's a lower high and it's only 4 ticks. I marked it green because this was pretty bullish right here. But again, this is another low risk one. And notice that where it turned down, right at a perfect measured move from the width of this range. So that's where you would expect it to turn down. So, and it ends up moving down pretty quickly. Although it finds support here, bounces and goes higher. I don't really see anything there that I would want to trade. And then we're chopping sideways again. You get a little breakout. This is all too congested. Drops again, same thing, too congested. But finally, you make a new high here and you get a first entry. Then it pulls back again, so it breaks above there. It's a second entry. Really, you're just looking for it to kind of break back into this channel here. And if it does, as long as you got room to get out there, you should be good. It ends up going much higher, but that's kind of your target, is this high right here, to see what prices do there. Notice they break through, pull back, test it, and just keep going higher. Then we're just working sideways again. And I don't see anything in here. That's tempting to go short on a triple test, and you do have a break and a new high here. Maybe you take that trade. Again, I'm not crazy about it. You ran down, you ran up, and you probably at least go back down to the other side if it's going to be a range. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. But maybe you take that trade. There is a triple test there no matter how you look at it. No setup here. Again, no setup there, and you're just chopping them wrong in the upper half before it breaks out. You can't take a breakout pull back there because you don't have enough test of the support of this acting as support, really. You get a second test here, but I'd want a third, and then notice it doesn't hold, and then you kind of work back into the range, and that takes you into the close. And you can see it's just working in that range until it drops a little lower there. And look how it moves a perfect measured move down. So use these measured moves. They help you find the targets and know where to look for possible reversals. But you just didn't have anything after that point. I mean, there's not much time left right here into 230. So, but kind of a weak, flat afternoon. And notice we did make a perfect measured move before it turned down there based on the 2 legs. The first leg up this morning. But there it is. I know I'll probably move through that a little quick, but I had to do this twice, and it's kind of frustrating. I apologize, but there it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.